Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living, to our Tuesday evening Spiritual Mind Healing Workshop. I am practitioner Sandra Cooper, and I will be your host this evening. As we have a chat together, I'll share some thoughts, some insights on a very topical issue that's affecting all of us now. And we will offer some affirmative prayers in response to your requests and have a conversation together. So I'm truly, truly grateful to be here and to have you all present with us. So we're going to just, use the next couple of moments to go into some quiet meditation. And then I will do a very quick affirmative prayer to kick us off. Okay. So let's take a deep breath. Breathe in and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. For many of us, I know it's been a long day. Lots of activities, traffic on the streets, meetings, appointments. And so I want you to just put those aside for a moment and just become fully and powerfully present. Allow the breath to remind you that you hold that presence of life. Every breath in and every exhale, we reaffirm that we are alive, we are well, expressing the breath of God right here, right now. So just allow a few moments to just allow nothing but the breath to be your focus as you breathe in and exhale. And just say within your heart, God is life. I am the life of God. I'm grateful for my life. God is life. I am the life of God. And I am grateful for my life. And so in this moment, we know together that God is life. We are one with that life. In that life, we live, we move, we express, and we fully embrace that life right here and right now. And so we bring together our awakened consciousness to this that we call a Tuesday evening spiritual mind healing service. I am knowing that every one of us is here by divine appointment. And so we are open to making our contribution, to learning and growing together in this hallowed space. I truly am grateful to know that it is all God and it is all good, that which has beckoned us this evening, that which speaks in, through, and as us. And so in this understanding, I release these words now and just know that they are fully, perfectly, and powerfully accomplished. I give thanks knowing that all this is so, and so it is. Welcome, Karen.
Good night.
And Lily. And Auntie Lil. Little Dawn. You know, this evening I want to share something that's really, really close to my heart. And I've titled my talk this evening, Beyond Outrage, What to Do About Cuba. You know, I've been avoiding the news for months. You know, if I need to know anything, I will know. And of course, my son comes and tells me what he's hearing on his own news feed. So I hear it anyway. But a lot of it is hard to hear. You know, the headlines just seem to be full of human suffering. You know what? We know what's going on in the Middle East. We see cycles of conflict that have claimed a whole lot of lives and displaced families who just, all they want is safety and peace. And right here in the Caribbean, just 90 miles to our north, the people of Cuba are experiencing severe hardship, shortages of food, fuel, electricity, and the basic necessities of daily life. The families are organizing their lives around blackouts. You know, we have elderly people wondering where the next meal will come from. And all of this has turned my heart inside out. I feel anger, resentment, and my imagination runs wild with some very creative, though not so nice, ways to stop the perpetuators of this horrific treatment of the Cuban people. You know, I visited Cuba twice, back in 1999 with the Fame Road Party. That was fun. And the second time, a couple of years later, I went for full immersion in Spanish language studies at the University of Havana. So it's really hard to hear all of this happening in Cuba. I have friends there. I have friends married to Cubans, right? And I have Cubans here who are my friends. Okay, and I think also about what has happened with our with the Cuban health professionals working in our health, in our hospitals, and the circumstances which have made us choose to withdraw them and send them back to Cuba. So in all of that, I've had to remind myself that, sorry, can I ask that you mute? Yes, so I have to remind myself that I am a deeply committed student of truth. I have had to curtail those thoughts and ask myself a deeper question. How do I, or how do we respond spiritually when the world presents circumstances that disturb us so deeply? If I keep thinking the way I'm thinking, I mean, aren't I adding more criticism, more hostility, more division to the stew of the collective atmosphere? You know, there's a song by Lou Rawls that I brought up to. It says, "What's the matter with the world? Has the world gone mad?" You know, that question has come to me. But the second line in that song says, "There's nothing wrong with the world. It's just the people within it." And I constitute one of those people. So I want to remind us that what we think about, we bring about. So my next question was, after all of the turbulence, was what will it take for me and for us to rise into higher consciousness and become instruments of compassion, clarity, and spiritual support for Cuba and our other global brothers and sisters? You know, the science of mind teaches that consciousness is creative. Thought is formative. What we hold in mind contributes to what appears in the world. So the question becomes, how do we respond spiritually when the world presents circumstances that disturb us so deeply? Now, we can't pretend that the suffering isn't real, and we can't deny the injustice that seems to be taking place around us. But what we can do is refuse to add more fear, more hostility, more division to the field of human consciousness. We can stop adding our opinion or agreement to the events in Cuba or in the Middle East and answer the call to something higher. And this is how we can make it happen. Firstly, you know, we have to think that, well, we have to let me say it again. We have to move from reaction to awareness. And this is a discipline that comes from spiritual maturity. And how do we do this? We have to pause before reacting. It's really like we're taking a quick, hold on that sort of a knee-jerk reaction. Because the mind wants to rush to judgment, which is how we make meaning of the world. You see, the natural tendency is to blame, and it doesn't help that the news cycle feeds outrage. But the spiritual path invites us to be to be still long enough to remember who we are. We're not merely observers of world events. We are participants in the field of consciousness that shapes them. Secondly, we have to choose compassion over condemnation. When nations clash and ideologies collide, it's easy to demonize leaders or governments. Oh, I can tell you how easy it is. But the spiritual eye has to look deeper, because behind every political system, there are human beings, children, mothers, fathers, grandparents, and people who want safety, dignity, food, and hope. So when we see them, our response shifts. So instead of condemnation, we feel compassion. Instead of outrage, we can offer prayerful intention. Because compassion doesn't weaken us. It elevates the vibration of the conversation. So powerful. Compassion elevates the vibration of the conversation. The third thing we can do is use our spiritual tools consciously. You know, as students of truth, we are not powerless in moments like these. We have the tools and we must use them. Like prayer, we can hold a vision of peace, stability, and sufficiency for the Cuban people, for the Iranians, for the Israelis, for everyone. Affirmation, we can affirm that wisdom, cooperation, and humanity prevail among nations. We can apply visioning, seeing a Caribbean where all islands thrive in dignity and mutual respect. We can see the world where all countries thrive in dignity and mutual respect. So every time we hold that consciousness, we refuse to contribute to the mental atmosphere of fear. Instead, we become agents of spiritual coherence in a chaotic world. We remember our Caribbean kinship, that's number 4. For us in Jamaica and across CARICOM, Cuba is not an abstract headline. They are our sister island. Our histories are intertwined. Our struggles have been similar. Our humanity is shared. So the question is not what side we are on. The question is, what consciousness are we contributing? So I invite you to reflect for a minute. Just close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And ask yourself, what is it about the situation in Cuba or anywhere else for that matter that disturbs you the most? I want you to notice what emotions come up for you. Is it anger or sadness, frustration, helplessness? Just allow yourself to observe the feeling without judgment. Another thing you can do is reframe. You can ask yourself, what would my highest spiritual self bring to this situation? Not just your ego judgment. What would be your highest thoughts about the situation? Would it bring compassion, clarity, faith in humanity's capacity to evolve? Because make no mistake, all of what's going on in the world is the seeds are being planted for continued evolution. So as you think about, the spiritual gifts that you would bring, choose one that feels true for you. Now set your intention and silently affirm, I choose to contribute this quality to the world. If it's patience, let it be. Understanding, let it be. Compassion, let that be too. And see that quality flowing outward, touching the people affected by the crisis, the leaders making the decisions, and the collective consciousness of humanity. Breathe in deeply as you anchor the feeling, and then gently bring your awareness back into the room. The world will continue to present moments that provoke anger and indignation. I think as long as the world exists, that will happen. Nevertheless, spiritual maturity asks something greater of us. It asks us to rise above reaction, to see beyond division, and to hold the world in a higher possibility. So today, instead of adding outrage to the atmosphere, let us affirm wisdom among leaders. Let us see peace, dignity, and provision for every human being. Because when enough of us hold that vision, something powerful happens. Consciousness shifts. And when consciousness shifts, the world eventually follows. So the world has enough outrage, friends. What it needs now is awakened consciousness. And we cannot always control world events, but we can always choose the consciousness that we bring to them. I want to share with you a piece written by the spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living. Let's see if I can find it here. Dr. Soni Cantrell Smith. And it's kind of long, but I'll just read a few excerpts from it. She says, we witness with deep concern the expanding military actions involving the United States, Israel, and Iran that have brought widespread suffering and loss of life across the region. She hasn't mentioned Cuba, but we can include that there as well. She says, and I'm just pulling extracts, we affirm that compassion, understanding, and harmony are living spiritual truths, rooted in the understanding that there is one infinite reality, that love is a self-giving impulse of spirit, and that every person is an individual expression of the one, connected with all others through the field of universal consciousness. She quotes Ernest Holmes as saying that while there might seem to be two attitudes that we can assume, these are one being calmness, faith, and conviction, the other, despair, right? And she says, Despair is unthinkable. So with each in our own way, we need to dedicate our time, our service, hope, and spiritual conviction to the common cause of liberty, and then work without tiring and pray without ceasing. She goes on to say, and even though patterns of division, fear, and rigid attachments to identify continue to generate suffering, these do not define the deeper truth of who we are together. So from the Science of Mind perspective, as we shift our thinking from separation to interconnection, from fear to love, we participate in creating a world that more fully reflects the spiritual laws of unity, peace, and mutual respect. So we must be willing to transform our consciousness, look within, align our thoughts with higher truth, and to act in ways to serve the well-being of all life. What affects one part of humanity, friends, affects the whole. So our highest spiritual calling must be to choose compassion over conflict, unity over division, and love over fear. And she closes by saying, may we not only affirm these principles with our words and thoughts, but live them through our actions, so peace, justice, and compassion are revealed as our spiritual legacy. Right? Powerful stuff. So that ends my sharing this evening. And I would like to just turn it over to you to just get a sense, what, as I was sharing both my own words and the words from Ernest Holmes and from Reverend Soni, what came to mind? What questions might you ask? What are your own concerns about what's happening in the world? What's happening as close as Cuba? What are your thoughts? Just unmute and share.
Perhaps I could say something.
Yes, I saw you just unmute. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, good evening, everyone. I too have been to Cuba a few times and been very fond of all those experiences. But I think what stayed with me from what you said, and especially if we go more broadly than just Cuba to other parts of the world, is the sense of one's own consciousness and how if we are part of the wholeness, how do we consciously or unconsciously add to the environment, so to speak? And what can we do to make it in such a way that people begin to experience together a level of consciousness that will bring us to a different place where we begin to see differently. And it means that instead of cursing and damning some people and so on, that you will have to bless them and hold that consciousness that something will be positive. As they say, you ask for and think about and pray for what you want, not what you don't want.
Correct.
So you have to hold that consciousness for them as well, and to know that change is always possible. and that we can take that individual responsibility to change the world, really.
Yeah. It's as Reverend John would say, it's a big frog to swallow because
Mhm.
it's often we tend to be looking outside, out there,
Mhm.
them, they, look what they are doing. Oh, it seems easy to do to make those kinds of condemnations. But if we just become aware of what am I thinking, what am I saying, because as I open my mouth to speak a word against a world leader or against the action, I am just sprinkling a little bit more gasoline on the fire. And it might not be something that seems, that we might not connect with that idea so easily. But I believe if more of us stop that type of conversation, we remove some of the fuel that's in making the fire blaze up. Appreciate that, Karen. Thank you so much. Dawn says, been to Cuba twice. I'm putting forward patience to dealing with all, especially Cuba. Got you there. Yeah, understood. Yes, thank you for that. I see two names that I'm not familiar with. Lily, you started to speak just as we were starting. And Roy, I'd love to meet, to get a sense of who you are.
Roy is our Roy.
Roy,
That's our singing Roy.
Oh, the last time you came on, it was Dr. Roy Thompson, but now it's just Roy. And so I was wondering, who is this Roy? So good to see you.
Hi, it's good to see everyone. I was going to unmute to speak. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you perfectly.
Okay. I'm heading home,
I see you
but
walking, yes.
yeah, but I wanted to log on to connect with my spiritual family. I'll say this, that the last couple of weeks have been really, really busy, really, really crazy, and it just seems like things are being piled on, piled on. My mother was diagnosed with diabetes last week, and her glucose was like 30 something. And, my finances were being stretched. But um, one of the things I remembered from our teaching is to really like look within and center yourself and look at what is going on inside of you. Um, because it's a reflection of what's coming at you and the things that you're cosmically attracting, you know. Um, I've also got some resistance from some academics that I used to work with, and I really, really wanted to curse them out and really, really, but I don't know. I just had to remember the teaching
Mm,
and to remember to center myself and really look within myself to see, okay, Roy, why are you cosmically attracting some of these things and work on that and release
mhm,
those,
mhm,
and so for me, um, I'm I've deleted all my social media accounts, right? So I'm not really updated with some of the news. Anytime I hear the president of the US just talking, I just quickly scroll on and quickly move on because it's a vexation to my spirit seeing that type of energy. And so I've just been unplugging from social media. I see that Jamaica ended its relationship with training doctors, which is crazy to me because it benefited us more than it did Cuba.
mhm,
But um, I guess we've been through worse, I guess.
mm,
I don't want to gaslight the situation. Things are going to get better. But if I follow social media, it really would feel like the world is on fire.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I am going to choose, peace and choose just to kind of center myself and just to keep praying for good and to just keep doing good, as my little part, my little contribution.
Mhm.
And just really sticking to the teachings,
Mhm.
to center myself and come back to my gratitude journal, go and
Mhm.
reading my affirmations every day now before
Mhm.
bed. Um,
Yeah.
because if I listen to what's going on, it's just very jarring and very
Yes,
upsetting for
indeed.
me, and I'm very
Yes.
sensitive. So, um, I just want to tell you guys too that I really, really love you. This is the spiritual home where I felt the most comfortable with. Um, and I just want to say I'm so grateful to be able to connect and
Mhm.
even just listening to you, Sandra, just hearing the stuff you're reading, your voice, your meditation, it's just so grounding and very calming. And I'm just very grateful to you
Oh.
all,
Oh,
So thank
and we
you
are
for that.
grateful to be able to have you in our space. You said something that's very powerful that I want everyone to get. And it's that, listen, I mean, I write about this in my book, The Business of Being a Spiritual Superhero in a Human Bodysuit. Having a spiritual life does not mean that we become gurus and we are on a mountaintop going home, home, and that all is well and perfect. Life is lifing, and we're going to feel feelings. We're going to have thoughts that may not be so in such alignment with our highest and the best. But the key thing which you said, Roy, is that we become aware. I'm feeling this way, or I'm thinking this. And in that awareness, we shift, we reframe, we rethink, we pray, we affirm, we visualize, we breathe, we speak to a practitioner. And in that awareness, that is where our power lies, not in the lofty meditation. It's in how we shift our thinking from the darkness and we turn on the light. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We have maybe another minute or two.
Can I come in for a second for a little
Yes, please,
30 seconds?
Antillian.
I too have been to Cuba twice, guys, and my father actually lived in Cuba for many, many years. And what I started to notice that I started to do when I heard about what happened with the Cuban doctors is that I started to say in my head and even in my meditation, the Cubans are a resilient people. The Cubans are a resilient people. This too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps coming to me.
Yeah.
And I guess I could just diffuse that throughout the whole world to
Yes.
people in other places. And so that is what I think I can do. Just keep sending out those positive vibrations.
Great. Thank you for that. Um, Pastor Reverend Michael, you're joining us. Mhm. Welcome, welcome. What other thoughts might we have? I know that, excuse me. So
Just had a blackout.
Oh, I see. And the light is back. That's how it
Yes.
sometimes, we're going along in consciousness and we think a dark thought.
True word.
And then now we come right back. We just allow the light to flood our space.
There we
And
go.
very good.
There we go.
Thoughts for me that have come up to is how the judgment of our own government that I've been feeling towards my own government because of the a perceived weakness in bowing to the dictates of the powers that be. So that's something that I have to heal too, because I know of certain circumstances in my own life where I have bowed to pressure and taken actions that perhaps weren't in my highest good. But in that situation, I was driven by fear, and so, yeah, when I find myself judging our own government, the light has to be shed as well in that situation. You look like you reach home, Roy. Man, make sure you put
Yes,
off the
yes.
camera before you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I just got home and in my
Oh, okay.
office upstairs. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Hi, Carol. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yes. So, yes, before we go to prayer, what other any other ideas come to mind as we look at this, our own reaction to the challenge in Cuba?
Well, Sandra,
Mm,
I think for me, I initially I used to think too that Andrew Holness is a weak, prime minister, but I've started to give him some a little more grace because it's the US is the superpower. They are the superpower, that's a fact. And Jamaica can't fight them like that. We don't have the economic um wherewithal to kind of, so that's how I've been looking at it, to say,
mhm,
he he is trying to be strategic. You're working with a leader with who is just a bully. And so,
mhm. Okay.
poor little Jamaica, he's trying his best to not to anger the superpower like Michael Manley did in the back in the day. And we have, so that's how I've been looking at it. So as not
Mhm.
to,
Okay.
upset
So
myself.
if I can just cut you a minute, because I get that. And I get that we can look and argue and rationalize, but I really want us to put our focus on, you see, I can only experience this thing through my own eyes, through my own consciousness. And it's not helping me to talk about what they should or shouldn't do, what is right or wrong, because it's like that is contributing to the conversation as is. So I have to make the shift, and the shift has to happen in my own consciousness. Carol, I see you have your hand up. Carol, unmute, my love.
Yeah. I said maybe I shouldn't say what I was going to say because, like I was saying that one little Jamaica cannot come to terms with the big old bully USA. But we do have something called CARICOM, which I don't think is being very strategic right now. And CARICOM is acting like 15 individual islands rather than a unit. And yes, I know that is not coming at it from a spiritual point of view, because in the absolute, we have to look beyond the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it is useful to ignore the circumstances either.
Mm-hmm.
I missed your talk, so I don't know what
Like,
was addressing you though.
the bottom line is that, and this is probably the same thing I was saying to Roy just now. Yeah, those are opinions that we can have, opinions around the facts. We see what CARICOM is doing and not doing. We see how our prime minister has acted or not acted. We affirm that there's pressure coming from the north, etc., etc. However, that is just our rumination around what's going on. What will it take for us to shift instead to really, really hold the high watch? I mean, just before you came, I'd read part of the message that Reverend Sony from Centers for Spiritual Living shared with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about holding the high watch and shifting from the thought of what is not working to what we want to see work.
And I agree. However, I do remember Ernest Holmes also saying, if somebody comes to you with a broken foot, you don't tell them, oh, your foot is fine. You find a doctor to fix it up.
Mhm.
And right now,
Yes.
things are not fine.
So I am not a doctor. I
No,
can't fix a foot. I am not a soldier. I'm not a politician and so on. So I cannot play that role. Right? So the role that I can play is when the conversations happen, I can shift my thinking, or I can, help to shift the conversation into a different space.
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. All right. Wow, it's 20 minutes to the hour. So we need to pray, to put my money where my mouth is. So I'm seeing in the chat.
I lower
Yes,
this.
love you too. Oh, yes. All right. So you can either share or write in the chat what would you have us have me pray for you. Either write in the chat or
Something's going on here. I can't mute.
request for spiritual mind healing treatment. I could say going once, going twice, gone. Nah. Well, while we await that, we need to pray. We still can go to prayer. So join me in an affirmative prayer of light and love for the world. I know this will be in alignment with what you would request, Reverend Michael. Let us just know that there is just one eternal presence and power. That presence is God, all-knowing, all-embracing, all-encompassing. It is that now which expresses at the heart of every world leader. The United States, Israel, Russia, China, Iran, across the Middle East, and right here in the Caribbean, it expresses as our own Jamaican leader and all the leaders of CARICOM. We know that the divine presence of God is that which knits each leader together in a tapestry of oneness. So everyone recognizes that sense of connectedness that each of us has with the other. And so as we become even more aware that we are one, all one perfect expression of the one, I know that the energy that reaches out is one of healing, one of wholeness, one of peace, one of compassion, of understanding and love. And these higher qualities manifest in the choices that are made, the discussions that take place. And in those discussions and choices, the intention is always for the good, always that which uplifts, inspires, heals, and blesses. And so I affirm and know that there is nothing but God, nothing but love. And that love of God is expressing in all aspects of our community, our world, our country, our entire geographical space. And so I give thanks, erasing from my mind any thought of war, conflict, It's only God and only good. And so I know that the goodness and power and presence of God is now established powerfully in the boardrooms and staterooms of all countries, within the hearts of every single world leader. And they are driven to choose that which is good for everyone concerned, everyone with whom they come into contact. So I release these words with a sense of knowing that the healing is taking place. Peace already is our experience. I know it, I believe it, I claim it, I accept it, and give thanks that it truly is so now. And so it is. Ah.
And so it is.
Okay, so help. So Dawn, I've done the piece, so help for Dawn. Oh, help for Peanut as well. And then we have right action for MG. And prosperity. Oh, and for Roy as well, Roy's mom. What's her name, Roy?
Her name is Miss Yvonne.
Okay, so help for Miss Yvonne, for Peanut and Dawn. Prosperity for Leighton. Right action for MG. Right action for Roy as well. Oh, time. Okay, and health for Carol too. Carol, okay. Let's go for health. Okay. Oh, we know that God is the perfect and perfecting energy and presence and power in this universe. And that energy is just expressing right here and right now as Dawn, as Miss Yvonne, as Carol, and her wonderful little puppy, Peanut. I know that this health expresses as a very life force in the bodies of these beautiful souls. And for anyone else who is open and receptive to these words. And so I give thanks and know that as I speak, every cell and fiber of their being is now just returned to its perfect state. All the chemistry is in perfect alignment and balance. All the organs and tissues are at their highest level of performance. There is perfect flow of all fluids in and out. All exchanges are taking place in perfect timing and easy and perfect order. And so health is the experience that I now declare for Miss Yvonne, for Dawn, for Carol, and for Little Peanut. And so I'm truly grateful for the presence of health surging through these wonderful bodies in this physical expression, because I know that at the core is that divine blueprint of health. And that is what I know that manifests right now in the wonderful body temples of these souls. And so I give thanks as I now release my word, knowing that health is the divine reality expressing right here and right now. For Dawn, for Miss Yvonne, for Carol, and for Peanut. I truly give thanks that all this is so.
And so it is.
Oh, And for Zara Karen, that came in a little late, but I embrace her with that power of help as well.
Thank you.
All right, so Tamu is right action as well. Let me just add Tamu, please. Yes. So this is an
Thank you, Sandy.
Yes, this is an affirmative prayer of right action for MG, for Roy, and for Tamu. We recognize that God is the source, the substance, and the all that there is. It is that which knits this universe together in so many wonderful ways. It is that which makes the sun rise and set, makes the leaves change and grow back. It is that which orders the very functioning of our physical bodies. And it is that which now expresses in every activity, in every circumstance in our lives and our affairs. And so I know for Roy, for MG, and for Tamu, and myself, and anyone else who is open and receptive, that right action is now taking place in every single aspect of our lives. We know that in our jobs, in our relationships, everything is unfolding as it should. Our finances are in perfect order, always in more than enough to meet our needs and then some, to take care of the highest desires of our hearts. Perfect right action. All contracts are just unfolding easily and effortless. All monies due are paid. All monies to be collected are received. Every decision to be made is made. All is unfolding perfectly because it is a law. And so for Tamu and for Roy and MG, I know that their affairs are now in perfect order. And so they just relax and let go and let it unfold. There's nothing to stop, nothing to hinder the flow of their good. Only God to know and God to experience. That's perfect right action. So I release these words now and just know that they are fully and perfectly accomplished. I rejoice and give thanks that this is so, and so it is. And we have prosperity latent for me and the people of the world, including those who appear to have lost divine protection and guidance to goodness and love. Okay, so prosperity. We know God is our source. No question. That one source is that which pours into us in every moment, in every circumstance. That source is infinite. And I declare that each of us is one with it. So I know for Leighton and for any one of us who embraces abundance and prosperity, that the inflow, the awesomeness of God's universe is now pouring into us. There's enough, more than enough to support our desires, to meet our needs, to allow us to live lavishly and comfortably, to know that all our bills are paid in time and in full, to know that we can choose the luxury of something that brings us joy, to know that prosperity avails itself in awesome relationships and good health in mind, body, and spirit. And so I give thanks for the bounty expressing right here and now for Leighton and for the rest of us, the rest of the world. I truly am grateful to know that we open ourselves to receive the flow, knowing that it is the Father's good pleasure to give and to give us the kingdom. So we open ourselves, we receive it, we accept it, we declare that we deserve it. And in that spirit of deservedness and abundance, I release these words now, knowing that they are bountifully fulfilled. And with deep gratitude, I just declare that it is so. And so it is.
So it is, and so it is. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. So we have a couple of more minutes, and just to, I don't have the slides up, but in fact, I can do that. Okay. Just to get the service. My slides go back all the way to January, but at least we have, I'll be able to bring up the prayer of Jamaica and the prayer of our center. Yes. Let me just wait and bring up that in a little bit. Okay, so just on the top of my head, just a reminder, friends, we have our Sunday guitar and piano classes for anyone who wants to join. And if you know of any young person who would like to learn to play either guitar or piano, we have a couple of scholarships available. We have Tai Chi on a Friday morning at 10. We also, I think there's a class starting. Now, Carol, are you in that class on Wednesdays with Reverend Michelle?
No.
Okay.
No. On by Tai Chi, by the way, is at 9, not 10.
Oh, it's at 9, I beg your pardon. All right, so I know that there's a class beginning with, I think it started last week, Wednesday, with Reverend Michelle. So you can come into the office for more details on that. I think there's still time to join. What else would I need to share? What else? I know we have our annual general meeting on Sunday, 29th, right after Sunday morning service. Okay. All right, so there's nothing else. I will go to.
I hear that the play was very successful and they had almost full house.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, I was up to my ears in work, so I had to make that choice, but my support.
Yes, I did go, and it was so very well, excellent turnout.
Mm-hmm.
It was enjoyable.
Yes. Okay. Let me just go to the do you know who is speaking next week? No, not sure who is.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. I want to just get it. Here we go. Okay, so we welcome your contributions and donations. And so if you feel moved to support our ministry, we invite you to donate at donate.templeoflightcsl.org. And of course, we are grateful for your generosity and for helping us be a beacon of light for the world. And as you're about to hit that donate button, I invite you to say our blessing lovingly. I give, joyful I receive, be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial affairs. Thank you, Father, and so it is. And we can say the prayer of our center together. The Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which the Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing
from strength to strength.
The power of
The power
God,
of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the path of wisdom, spiritual growth,
unfoldment, and
attainment.
We are blessed.
We are blessed.
To God be the
And to
honor,
God be the honor,
glory
the glory
forever.
forever.
And so it is. Awesome. And now the prayer of Jamaica. The radiant light
The radiant light of God's love
is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it
touches.
The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens in the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts
and mankind
everywhere. Love,
health, harmony,
goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established. And so it is. Friends, we are going to end as we started in prayer. And I just want to very quickly, let me just exit this. Yes, I want to, there's an affirmation that I want to just read for Cuba and the world. And so I just close with this and our closing affirmative prayer. So let's turn within, knowing that there is one life, one divine presence, expressing through all people, all nations, and all creation. That presence is wisdom, compassion, intelligence, and order. Right now, we affirm that this divine intelligence is active in the affairs of all humanity, and particularly in the affairs of our brothers and sisters in Cuba. We hold the people of Cuba in a field of love and provision. We affirm that their needs are met, that support arises in visible and unexpected ways, and that strength and dignity fill their lives. We affirm wisdom among leaders everywhere, that decisions are guided by humanity, compassion, and the greater good. We know that peace is not a distant dream, but a divine possibility unfolding through awakened hearts. And so we commit ourselves to holding the entire world in higher consciousness, knowing that what we hold in thought contributes to what appears in experience. For this awareness, this faith, and this unfolding good, we give thanks. And as we go from this place, we take these thoughts with us. We take these words with us. We open our hearts to the presence of peace, and we engage with a deeper understanding of the truth that God is always at the center, no matter what the appearance. And so I know for everyone who chose to be here this evening, that the divine presence and power of God guides them in every aspect of their lives. And so knowing that this is the truth, I release these words now to that law that says, yes, it truly is done as you have spoken. And so I give thanks to know that all this is so now.
And so it is. Thank you, Sandy.
Amen.
Missed the talk, but
thank you all. And yeah, just enjoy the rest of your evening.